Hello everyone. So today I'm just going to make a short video that will help people who are selecting paint for the exterior walls for their homes in Liberia. There's a couple of challenges to selecting the right paint to protect your walls so that you can prevent a lot of maintenance cost down the line, especially for a country like Liberia. And I'll explain why we need to pay special attention to the type of paint that we select for our walls, our exterior walls in Liberia. So first thing, let's talk about the things that will affect your choices of paint when you ever built a home or a building. Now, I'm talking about buildings with concrete walls here. We're not talking about glass buildings like the tall building you see behind me or the one that I'm sitting in right now. So we're talking about concrete buildings, and we're talking specifically about building in Liberia. So Liberia is a unique country. So it is one of the top 12 most humid countries. A lot of those countries on the list of those top 12 most humid countries are found in Asia. But first of all, let's back up a little bit. What is humidity actually? Humidity simply refers to the amount of water vapor that is in the air. And this happens because as the sun warms up the surface of the earth, water evaporates, escapes the top soil layer of the earth. Water vapor doesn't only escape from the top surface of the earth, it actually also escapes from vegetation. So countries that tend to be very humid tend to have a lot of vegetation, and they tend to be around the equator because those are tropical countries. We know they have a lot of vegetation. So if you look at the list of maybe the top 12 or top 15 most humid countries, a lot of them, perhaps all of them in fact, are located along the equator. So they are tropical countries. They have a lot of vegetation, and Liberia is one of those. The rest of them are mostly found in Asia. Some of them are Indonesia, Singapore, Malaysia. All of these countries have a lot of vegetation, and they are either island located or either island located in the ocean, right? Or they have a lot of waterfront land area. So they have large beaches, like Liberia, for example. So why is this a challenge when you are building in places with this type of high humidity? Where the problem is, and specifically with Liberia, we also have a huge rainfall. So that means you have to protect your wall with a surface protection that prevents water from seeping into the wall or getting trapped into the wall. When water mixes a lot with concrete and stays there, it creates a lot of unwanted scenes. One, it can create a lot of mold. It can create mildew. It can also create cracks in the wall. And if you choose the wrong type of paint, it can start actually creating these problems on the paint, or sometimes even you will see some paints are peeling off and some paints are basically falling off the wall. And in fact, actually this reinforces the problem, because when the paint actually tears off of the wall, it creates an uneven surface, and that actually traps more moisture from the air, and that again reinforces the idea of mold formation and things like that. So it's just a problem that keeps adding up. So this is why it's important to pick the right type of paint. So picking paint in Liberia, actually let's go back to the interior of the house. So interior paints are normally not meant to resist a lot of harsh outdoor conditions, such as maybe direct sunshine and a lot of moisture, right? Because it is in the interior, there is no rain falling on the interior of your house. I hope so, at least. The only concern with the interior types of paint, that where people need to be concerned about a lot of moisture in the air, is the paint you use in the bathroom. Now, a lot of people don't even know this. Although your shower area can be covered with tiles, but the rest of the interior of the bathroom should have a specific type of interior paint that handles a lot of moisture, because that moisture actually is not only trapped in the shower area, it's actually in the entire room, the entire bathroom. So if you notice carefully, if you live in some very well built buildings, and you should try that right away. For people, especially living maybe in the US or in some advanced countries, go into your bathroom, look at the paint on the wall, right? And touch it. You will notice that it is glossier than the paint in the rest of the interior of your house. if the people who did the painting paid attention to like what type of paint to use, you will notice that right away. And you can leave your comments down in this video to just verify whether this is happening in your case or not, right? If they pay careful attention, the paint in there will be glossy. Why are they using glossy paint in your bathroom versus the rest of the interior of your house? So that comes down to the chemistry of paints, and we'll get to it. So it turns out that in making paints that can resist water, or sometimes they are called waterproof paint. By the way, water resistant, waterproof are two different things. You should look that up. But I'm just saying that here, paints that are meant to be resistant to these type of high moisture areas within the interior or exterior of your house, they are designed to be glossy because then at the molecular level, the bond between the atoms in the paint are actually much shorter. So they have shorter bond length. And that means if you look at them, they tend to appear glossy, or they tend to appear smooth and shiny. And that way, they are more resistant to water penetration. So because of that smooth and glossier look, they can resist water penetration. And that makes those types of paint a little bit more expensive than the matte type of matte finish paint. So we're just talking about the interior here. So that is the way to choose, even if you're just choosing paint for the interior of your house. So let's go to the exterior. The exterior paints are totally different types of paint. They have a lot of chemistry in them that makes them resistant to all of the harsh external conditions. So specifically for Liberia, those harsh conditions are the heavy rainfall we receive. Almost half of the year is the rainy season, and then the heavy year-round humidity, high humidity level that we have in the country. Right, and dust is also an issue, but let's park that and not dwell on it a lot, because that is like location specific in Liberia. But we're just talking about like general in Liberia when you're building a building, right? What type of paint to use for the exterior of your walls. So because of these harsh conditions, the humidity and the high rainfall in Liberia, your external paint should provide a lot of protection for your concrete external walls. So some of the characteristics of concrete walls, especially the external walls, is that they are rough to the touch. So no matter how smooth they appear, because it is concrete, there is issues of like cone formation in the concrete wall, and there's a lot of like penetration possible for water to seep through this wall, and that can create all of those unwanted things. So there are specific paints designed for providing a smooth finish for the exterior of the wall. And those type of paints are slightly expensive, simply because, again, the chemistry of those paints, we talk about the bond length and the bond strength. And those chemistry provide, it enables those types of paint to be impenetrable by water. And because of that, they provide a protection for your wall. And they tend to be slightly on the glossier side, again, for easy falling off of the water, right? So that the water doesn't get trapped again in like those little rough surfaces that the paint itself will create. And so there are different quality of paint. There are some companies actually, and I'm not going to share that information. No one is paying me for anything like that. And there are some companies that actually do an extra work in retaining some like rough matte-like finish to the paint, but yet it is waterproof. So that means the bond length between the molecules, right, in the molecules of these type of paint materials is still slightly long, but yet they have extra materials in it that basically prevent water from seeping through. So it is still water impenetrable, and it's like waterproof. So when we are building homes in Liberia and thinking about the paint that we want to put on the surface of the building, we have to think about all of those things. And we have to consider that our country is slightly different from most countries in the world because of its heavy rainfall and its high humidity. A lot of buildings in Liberia have to be repainted every year if they want to retain like a good finish. But there are some buildings that don't get to be repainted annually because they paid attention to these things, and the engineers who perhaps provided like advice on this, like selected the right type of paint to have these buildings painted the right way. And in Liberia, the other challenge is what I was just saying, like it's not just about selecting the paint, also it's actually about getting the right people to do the painting in the proper way. So those are some of the things to watch out for, but I think people should take note about selecting the right type of paint. It may be expensive upfront to select the right type of paint, but it's actually cheaper down the line, right? So if you are building your home, you want to reduce the maintenance cost, pay careful attention to the type of paint that you want to use. Some of these paints like don't require you to smooth the wall at all. They will actually automatically, if you paint the wall as rough as it will look outside, the paint actually has the ability to fill in all of those gaps in the concrete wall and provide some waterproofing. And some of them actually have materials that actually, if you paint the wall and there are gaps already, cracks that are emerging in the wall, some of these paints have the ability to actually prevent that gap from continuing further into the wall. So all of these, there are different grades of paint that you can use, but all of this like boils down to the one fact. If you are building in Liberia, when it comes to painting the exterior walls of your home or your building, pay careful attention, select the right quality of paint, and spend that extra money and save yourself some headache down the line. All right, thank you, and look forward to seeing you engage with us at Exit. We are building some really beautiful homes. Reach out to us on our WhatsApp number that is here, but it's 777 90 90 12. So plus 231 777 90 90 12. Reach out to us and discuss your needs and look at the choices of homes we offer you. Thanks. Bye bye.